allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everyone. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second then?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any public comment? Okay. Consent items. Is there a motion for the consent items?
Motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion items, assurance of compliance.
This is just something we do every year. It no longer requires board action. It used to, but it's just one of those things that I wanted to make you aware that all of the necessary documents are in the offices and we are up to date.
Okay. Any questions on that? Next item is U.S. Bank Grant for City.
I was contacted by Chris Peterson and Audrey Hegland. There's the possibility of the city to submit a grant on our behalf. The city can't submit a grant for the U.S. Bank grant, but a school could. And so what they were asking to do is to basically submit the grant using our name to help pay for the city park. And the rationale for why the school would do this, because of the handicapped accessibility of the city park that they're planning, our students could benefit from it because there would be that handicapped wheelchair swing that we could be using for our students in wheelchairs, and that's a piece of equipment we don't have. They would also said that they would have a document releasing us from any financial or legal responsibility for it.
Who writes the grant?
Audrey Hegland said she would write the grant.
And she is very good at that.
Is there opportunity for a conversation with the city that should the tables be turned, that they might do something on behalf of the school district at the school district's request? I don't know what I have, but I mean, sometimes it's been, I'm just sort of gentleman's agreement that, yeah, this is a win-win, and sometimes we have situations that we need the city as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of up there.
And right now, they're still looking into whether or not the U.S. Bank grant is based on some income type restrictions, and so they're trying to find out if Houston actually would qualify for those restrictions. The school district does not qualify because we do not have a high enough free and reduced price lunch population. Our free and reduced price lunch population, I think this year is at 38%, and that's not high enough to qualify for the grant requires over 50%. So I'm not sure it can happen, but if it would happen, it would come in on the October 18th because it's got a November 2nd deadline. So I wanted you to be aware of it before it was in, if it does pop up on the October 18th board agenda, I wanted you to know where it was coming from. That's it.
Okay. Old business. Set date and time for World's Best Workforce public hearing.
We talked about the World's Best Workforce public hearing to be held on November 2nd, but we never actually officially set the date and time. We discussed it without any action, so at this point I'm asking for action to make sure that we have officially set the date and time. The suggestion there is November 2nd, and then if we have the public meeting at 7, then hopefully more people can come. So far, we haven't really gotten anyone to show up.
And what's the deadline for this report, or I mean, we have,
December 15th is
Okay.
the deadline, and I know this is well in advance of the deadline, but people need a chance to comment on it before we approve it.
I just wanted.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve or set the date for the World's Best Workforce public hearing at November 2nd at 7 p.m. as part of the regular, or insert it within the meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Update the LPFM expenditure plan.
Sarah Miller from MDE called, and what we have submitted for the last 2 years that has been approved, now that she is in the position that Dale Sunderland had been in, she now wants the way we're submitting it changed. So what she wanted to have happen, if you'll see in the line Finance Code 366, where it has indoor air quality control, the 2.2 million, right there, right. What we had in the submission before is that 2.2 million amortized across the years, because what we were doing before is saying what we were paying on the bond each year. And she said with 366, we need to have the actual payments made on it, and the bond would go in a different format. So she said we have to match this with what we actually paid. So we're just truing it up with what the way the state does. It doesn't change any of our expenditures, nor does it change any of our revenue. It's just a change in how we're reporting it.
So this needs to be approved? Or?
Yeah, it needs to be approved, and then I do have another sheet where Ron will have to sign it, and we have to mail that in, email that back to Sarah tomorrow.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay,
We're just rearranging things.
Yeah.
moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and who seconded?
I did.
So where's Tom?
Okay, thank you.
Next item is potential board member interviews.
Okay, before we start the interviews, at this point, acting chair, if you would hand out that we've got the interview questions.
Here you go.
Thank you.
There. You'll notice the applicant's name is already on the sheet. Following the applicant's name, you will have their letter of application, letter of interest. With this, you'll notice that every question has the ability to be scored 1 through 5. 1 being the lowest, 5 being the strongest answer possible. You have the room to make notes. You don't have to, but you can. As far as the scoring, if you would tally your score at the bottom for each one, I would appreciate that. By the end of this evening, and I will explain why I'm saying that. I will need all of the sheets turned in, so I will tally scores. The reason I'm saying by the end of this evening, you don't have to score as you are listening to it. You can make notes, and then after the meeting is done, go off into a room or a private place and think about it, and then score and get it back to me. We are not, in talking to representatives from Minnesota School Board Association, we are not held to the scoring, which means that the top score doesn't necessarily need to be the person appointed. What it will take, that will be one of the pieces of information that will be brought to the October 18th board meeting, at which point the board will have a discussion on, of the 5 applicants, the best person to fill the vacancy. We also have a board member who is not with us tonight, who also will have a voice because he will be watching all of the interviews after he's done with his work commitment tonight. And let's see, anything else? Oh, between tonight and October 18th, that Wednesday next meeting, if a community member wants to call and talk to you about anything that he or she has heard by watching this meeting, this might be one of those times where you do get phone calls in between board meetings. Acting Chair Wilson will be the interviewer and will be reading the questions. So we can make sure that there is consistency. We will not have follow-up questions with this, and so we're going to make sure that everyone gets the same questions asked the same way. Any questions on this? Any?
What go ahead.
What
You're gonna
about
say
what questions for us?
who answers those?
Are we allowed to speak? Or?
Yeah, the candidates will think, well, what is this? I can't even speak on this board. No, at that point, I think any one of you probably, if you would like to respond, ask the acting chair, and then we can have at it that way. Because if you get a question and really would like to respond, you can say, Chair Wilson, I would really like to respond to that one. Does that work for everyone? This is not something you've done before as a group, so.
Sounds good.
All right. And we're a little ahead of schedule, and if that's fine with our first candidate, Steve Shoy. If you would sit.
Hi, Steve.
And the reason we're having all the candidates at the table, for those of you watching online, that way you can see and hear each
I'm
candidate.
gonna sit here, can I move the chair here?
I would like you to sit so that those people online can see you as well. If you look at, there's a little, there, if you turn around.
Oh, there it is.
Yes, yes, there.
Okay.
The blue light is on.
All right. First of all, thank you for applying. How has your training and or experience prepared you to serve as a member of the school board?
Well, I served for a little over 16 years as a board member here, and as a result of this, I was on the Hiawatha Valley Board for 14 or 15 years, and on the Houston County Family Services Collaborative Board for, I don't know, 6 or 8 years. And I had quite a bit of training with both the MSBA, MREA, and some negotiations trainings with the Bureau of Mediation Services with the state. So I feel a real debt of gratitude, and I have all along, because the school functioned in admirable capacity in the education of my children. They were all very successful. They are successful. And the teachers in the school played a big part in that. And they had a great mother. So here I am.
Excuse me, thank you.
Okay, what appeals to you about serving on the school board?
Well, I'll reiterate my feelings of gratitude for the fine job the school did. I'm very proud of the school in general, staff, teachers, office staff especially. Nobody's lost here. You know, there's always somebody that's paying attention and caring for our kids. And if I can help in a small way in that, I'd like to. So I understand this is for 1 year, and that's all I'm really proposing to do. I recruited Joe back in the day when he got on the board, and I'm hoping you guys are able to get the boundaries changed so he can stand for election next year. But if you can't, I'm not going to be putting my name on the ballot. So it's just a one-trick pony, 1 year sort of thing. So.
What do you know about HPS and board oversight of the district?
Say the initials again.
Oh, Houston Public Schools.
Oh, HPS. My ears aren't as good as they may have once been. Gee, I know a lot. How much of it do you want me to tell you? How much of it can I actually remember?
You have 15 minutes.
No, I really don't believe in filling out all the time available. Airtime, that is. So I know enough to be proud of it and want to be a part of it for a limited period of time again. I may have grandkids in the school someday. I'm hoping so. But I want to see the district not just survive, but thrive. And I think we've had such good leadership over the years that we're in a great position. You know, serving on those boards, I got in almost every school within our area. And thanks to previous boards and good planning, our facilities, and once again, you guys have taken them a couple of steps further. It looks great out front, but especially when you go in the classrooms here, we've got nothing to apologize for. They're better than really any of our neighbors. And I haven't seen the new Rushford facility, and I hope to one of these days, but I have been in a lot, and I think Houston can be very proud of the facilities that we offer our students and the technology and certainly the talented teaching staff. So,
Is there anything else you would like to add that would convince us you should be the candidate we appoint?
well, most of you have worked with me and you know me. I can be difficult, but usually if there's good evidence, I'll go along with it or support it actively. So, Josh, you kind of know me.
Many years.
Yeah, you've outdone me in the family size, and I'm proud of you for that. Because our school relies on parents that have large families.
Capped out. I'm
That's
done.
okay. I'm not encouraging you to do more. But you've all put great kids through the school, or are putting great kids through the school. So I know you've got a real stake in the game, and I really respect that. And would enjoy working with you for a year and continuing to promote that. So,
What questions do you have for us?
I don't really have any. I mean, the work you've done speaks for itself in the papers and, you know, the looks of the facilities. I haven't heard any terrible rumors. I pretty much just hear good things, or I wouldn't be sitting here with you. I hope you're not let down that I'm not probing for. I'm not.
Okay.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
What did you think about it? I forgot the first. What did you think about it?
I know.
It says, like, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you
Here, we're going to.
Sorry, Tony.
I'm gonna sit and
Well,
relax.
if the candidate is here, could we move forward and then take a break
Aren't you
until
on
if the
at
next
6:30?
candidate?
Maybe we could jump back to the meeting.
You bet, you bet.
If we have extra time.
Right, okay, so if the next candidate does not mind,
I don't mind.
why, thank you.
Chair's comfy.
Tony Schultz is our next candidate.
Hello.
Hi,
Oh.
Tony.
Anytime.
Thank you for applying.
Thank you for having me.
First question is, how has your training and/or experience prepared you to serve as a member of the school board?
Well, I have 8 years of experience as a city council member here with Houston. With that experience, I've been on part of the EDA, the Planning and Zoning Commission. I've helped out on the tree board as well. I've been on the tree board. Currently, I serve on the Houston County EDA. And of course, that gives me a lot of time to talk to other individuals that are not just from Houston, but around the county. And when it comes to the school board, we don't just think of just the town anymore. It's also the people that are living rurally and how are we serving them in the best manner. So it can't just be a one location thought, so to speak, when you're concentrating on a town versus an entire area. I've grown up in Houston. I graduated from this school when this room had more books than computers. So I have a great deep love for this town. That's why I wanna help. If we can help out, even if it's just for a year, I wanna be part of it.
What appeals to you about serving on the school board?
As I said, we've got a great school here. I mean, we have more than accomplished great feats when it comes to education with this school. When I was living in the Twin Cities, we were already starting to see that type of activity down here and making the news and such, and all the things we have here. So to me, it's about helping keep us on that track of educationally continuing to be successful, and having my input too on other things, extracurricular activities and other ways we can make this school successful. So if we have a family that moves to this area and they see 3 or 4 of the closest schools, why is Houston the best place to go to? And I want to help make it their number one choice. You know, that if this is the first place they come, it's the last place they want to leave, so that they're not going anywhere else. So it'd be great just to help out with that.
What do you know about HPS, or Houston Public Schools, and board oversight of the district?
You know, basically the board is here to help the school stay in a direction, so that the facilities, the administration, and the teachers know what direction we want this school district to go in. I know that, again, Houston, we're very high on education, which is why kids are here. We're getting kids ready to go out and meet the world. And we've had so many successes. It's great to be able to tell people that a smaller school where, you know, you talk with someone from a larger school district or someone who graduated from a larger school, well, there's only 30 kids in a class. What's that like? Yeah, but we've had times where we've had multiple valedictorians graduate from this school. And it's not just because nobody knew what to do or somebody wanted to, you know, didn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. They earned it, and that's something that the school can definitely pat its back about.
Is there anything else you would like to add that would convince us you should be the candidate we appoint?
I guess I've kind of said it already. You know, I have a passion for this town. I'm very active within the community of the Houston Ambulance. I coach youth football. I've coached other sports here, youth basketball, C-team basketball in the past. You know, I try to go into everything with a positive but yet realistic attitude. So it's great to go to a game here and cheer, and, you know, be able to have a nice new court to look at. We've got a newer, you know, football field out there as well. Those are all things that I feel proud of to see when I step foot on campus. One of the great things I love too is the elementary school, how we fixed up things. We didn't just say, well, let's build something new. let's build it new and shiny. We fixed up what we have, and those are important things. So I take a lot of pride in that and telling people, you know, hey, we have what we have and we've made it better. And that's something that, again, as a graduate of this school, I can walk around and go to other communities and say, this is what we've got, and it's pretty darn good.
What questions do you have for us?
That's a good question. You know, I don't know that I really have a direct question. I've seen a lot of what you guys are trying to do, where you want this school district to go as a whole. I guess if I were to, you know, have any question, it would be a pretty general one, and I think I'd know the answer of, you know, where do you want to see the school go? Where does this group want the school to be?
Rhetorical, right?
Sort of. That's like I said. It's rhetorical, but
You could maybe, I don't know, that's a good question for us to wrestle with
It is.
in leadership meetings. Strategic planning, right?
Is there one of you that wants to field that?
Well, I personally, I just want to, I agree completely that we have done well with our facilities and we've kept moving forward. So I just want to continue the success and progress and not, even though we're small. And I take pride in that size.
And I think going back to what we've been trying to work out strategically, we know we can't do everything, so we need more partnerships with businesses or tech schools or whatever it is, and continue to add new technologies. So those are kind of some of our key things. But we know we can't have everything here, so
Sure.
we have to figure out how to get the kids access to what they need.
I think we're always working for continuous improvement.
Responsible, continuous improvement. I just thought I'd add that. I know you meant to say that.
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Tony.
So as we're waiting for 6:45, you can, if you want to go on to the,
Go back to new business, Gary? Jump back to new business?
go back, yeah.
Just wondering if you're gonna put a hurricane symbol over that.
This is something I mentioned at the last meeting as far as having it on the agenda this meeting. We have been invited to join the Rochester area math and science. What is it?
Partnership.
Yeah, math and science partnership. And with this, there is a cost to it. There is some staff development we would receive in being a member. There's also some of those partnerships that would come with it. Most of those partnerships are in the Rochester area. Well, it was started in Rochester. So you've got partnerships with, they have listed partnerships with IBM. I'm not sure how vital that is anymore in Rochester. But they've also got partnerships with Mayo and with the colleges in the area. You'll see that there are some things for the students to be doing as well. La Crescent just joined, as did Lanesboro. And just because they did doesn't mean we need to. I just wanted to make sure that we talked about it and you could decide whether or not this is something that you wanted to do. It is $16.50 a year to join. They will prorate it for the amount of the year that you're in, and I'm not sure if that means that since we are 1/8 done with our school year, we will pay 7/8 of this, or if it's because it's from July 1 to June 30th, if they consider the year 1/4 done. And so that would make a difference as far as what the fee would be this year. However, it would, you're looking at membership being $16.50 at least each year.
The whole district?
Yes.
What ages does this include then?
They have some things for, in some of their flyers, they've got things for elementary school aged children, but then a lot of the hands-on things are with senior high.
So when we went to MSBA before, I think it's a great idea, by the way, to do this because, and I don't know if anybody was with me, I'm sure somebody was from the board when we were walking through, but there are different groups throughout the state, and some of the kids are there as presenters, you know, when you walk down the aisles, and it's their groups, I forget what they call it's like a traveling tech, it's almost like they store it all in a trailer and it comes to the school, and for us to buy that stuff would be so expensive. But they have little round balls that roll around the floor. They're like a little robot, and the kids can program basic commands on their phone. You were with me, Ron. And it was maybe 3rd or 4th graders that were showing us, and they were so excited because they could make the ball change colors and roll into a triangle shape and do all this fun stuff. And so in their tech trailer, whatever, that came to their school, there's maybe 30 of those. So enough for a whole class to be able to do it. So, you know, and then with the high schoolers, there's access to some really cool equipment that we wouldn't normally be able to have. So it just depends how nice their, you know, how long we would get to use that stuff for, how many weeks, or I don't know. And then all the equipment that they have in there as well.
And I'm not sure.
And maybe they're just forming that, maybe this group decides, but it's really cool to be able to have access to some of that stuff that the schools can't afford. I was just telling them, were you with me when we saw those kids with the little balls that they programmed on their phones?
No.
And at MSBA, and they rolled all over the floor?
Yeah.
So I assume that stuff like that is part of this group that they would have.
With the mobile science labs?
Yes.
I know that Marty Momsen already picks up a mobile science lab from
Southeast Service Co-op.
Southeast Service Co-op. So I think we might already, because of something he was involved in, get that science lab, and none of that stuff is in that particular lab that he gets. But I could find out what things are in, and if it's a different mobile lab than the one we're already getting.
Yeah, this group was from a different part of the state, but I was really impressed by, I mean, they had like a huge robot, I think, too, that it was just some really cool stuff. And then the kids got to explore on it. It was maybe I don't know how long, at their school for a few weeks. And then it went on to the next school.
So who contacted Houston then, inviting us to join?
We got this letter, and I brought it up in a superintendent update and didn't really hear about it, so that's why I thought I'll just bring it to the board and we can discuss it in an open meeting.
Sure. If we belong to this, do we have access to a certain number of hours, or?
Yeah, what do we get, yeah.
We're getting the professional development that was in the we have access to 2 educator forums, 6 continuous improvement presentations, complimentary access to the Career Exploration Speakers Bureau, annual Outstanding Educator Award and dinner, discounts to Southeast Service Cooperative STEM, professional development, access to the mobile science labs, community partnerships, collaborative resources and grant opportunities, and notification of statewide STEM events.
So are we heading to Rochester to participate in those then? Or is anyone coming here, I wonder?
Most of the professional development is all done in Rochester. The statewide STEM events, those could happen anywhere around the state at any of the service co-ops. The mobile science lab would be the one thing that could come here.
Have you run this by the professional development committee and the sites to see if, since a lot of it is development and speakers, it sounds like it's more for the educators than it is directly for the students.
The way this is advertised, it does seem more for educators than for the kids. However, in the flyer, most of the pictures.
I took it, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you, okay, the pictures all deal with, no, go ahead, that's what I was saying.
I'm assuming they're doing the training and then presumably you're implementing what you've learned.
One would hope.
Right, so have the sites, are the
I
sites
haven't-
interested?
I
And
haven't,
is that an appropriate question?
I haven't brought it up to the site because there is that, the monetary component.
Can we use professional development dollars for this?
If we were sure that it was
For
just
staff
going for,
development.
yeah, if it was just the staff development and not the kid things, we can't use staff development dollars for,
But if the membership can be covered out of staff development dollars rather than out of more of the general fund, then that, and people want to use it, then
Was any of our staff familiar with this group?
no, our staff hasn't been. And that's, other than Marty Momsen, who does access the mobile science labs.
I love the idea, I'm just, would wanna make sure it's worth a while or what they're offering.
What's Marty's perspective?
Of the mobile science labs, he loves them.
This
It's-
is the mobile science lab they're talking about? Or that's
I'm-
where I had?
it must be.
I can't imagine that they would have more than one mobile science lab, so I don't know if we'd be getting any more than what we're already getting, and
Is this the first year this is going on?
no, this is actually 27 years old. It's the first time we've been
Oh, yeah.
invited.
Guess it pays to read before I ask dumb questions.
No,
Well, you mentioned a collaborative too, that's a plus to work with the other schools and. So we,
I just would suggest maybe we find out if there's interest in the schools by any teachers to pursue these training opportunities, that they might not have access to similar training elsewhere, and if they're waiting for that, then then we could revisit it.
and I can find out more about the mobile lab and what other options they have there, and then I can call some of the other schools, but
Yeah, some feedback might be nice, see what they get the most out of, and the longer it is.
okay.
Can you check with the other, like Lanesboro and La Crescent, and say, what are you guys doing with this, or what,
Yeah.
find out what their, more information.
yeah, maybe it's a huge value and you're getting so much for your dollar, or it's just not worth it.
Right.
Yes, I definitely can, so that we can just, get,
Oh, all right.
I will get more information and bring it back on the 18th.
Okay,
Okay. And our,
go back to the interview.
go back to the interviews.
Pete's out in the hall if you wanna go.
Oh. Okay.
wonder that when they say 27 years, is that the way they've been? You know, and they're now sending us a farm letter. Wait, I know, I agree, I hope that it isn't all that. No, I'm not doubting her, I'm not being critical.
And everyone is sure they've got the applicant Mark Peterson on the top. Okay.
All right, welcome, and thank you for applying. The first question is, how has your training and or experience prepared you to serve as a member of the school board?
Well, first of all, I think there's only one other person in the town that has been here longer than me. Everything I talk about is gonna give away my age, that's not a good thing. I think Dave Runningen's probably got me up by a year or two, but I went to school here for 12 years. I also, after I graduated from here, I was fortunate enough to get a teaching job back here. And I taught 29 years. I also coached, I coached for over 40 years, but I coached for over 38 years in your system here. So I've got over 50 years experience at Houston Public Schools. Also, I have my undergraduate degree is from Winona State University, and that's in social studies. My master's degree is out of University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, and that's in sports administration. I guess I've kind of been around the block as far as, I drove bus in the school system for a long time. I drove bus back when the coaches had to drive the bus. I think that ended when one night I said at a school board meeting, do you people really want me driving your kids home after the game? And that ended the coaches driving, I think. So, yeah, I guess I also feel along those lines, the job that I've done since I've left Houston High School is I'm in real estate and I deal with multi-million-dollar deals on a regular basis. I have to read contracts day in and day out. I work with lawyers every day. It's a very multi-million-dollar business that I'm involved in there because I deal with farms and commercial properties a lot. So I have to negotiate a lot, which probably falls into a category that you people have had experience here. But I've never been a school board member, so anybody that tells you that they went to school to be a school board member, obviously that's not true.
What appeals to you about serving on the school board?
Well, I don't know. That I guess I asked myself that a lot too, before I put my hat in the ring. I think it's, prior to this time, I obviously been very, very busy in my life. And I didn't feel I had the time to commit to it. I think it is a commitment. I now have my daughter involved in real estate with me. So when I get tired and don't want to do something, I can turn it over to her, which makes that kind of nice. So probably for the first time in my life, I have a little bit of window of opportunity to give back for what was given to me for those, if you want to call it, those 50 years. I now have the opportunity to learn what you do in your business and then give back to the community that way.
What do you know about Houston Public Schools and board oversight of the district?
Well, I'm not going to profess to know a lot there. Obviously, unless you're involved in your regular month-to-month meetings and involved with, you know, the correspondence from your superintendent and your bookkeepers and your teachers, it's very difficult to come in and say that you're very astute at knowing what goes on a day-to-day basis. I'm more than willing to learn that. everything that I've done, I strive to be as good as I possibly can at it, and I think serving on a school board is the same thing. If you're on any committee, on any organization, you need to put your effort into it.
Is there anything else you would like to add that would convince us you should be the candidate we appoint?
Well, I feel you have a tough job. I noticed when I went in to apply, I think there was one applicant, and I didn't apply till late last week. So I'm impressed that you had other candidates that came forward, and I'm impressed there's other people that want to serve in that position. And I think you should be honored that there's people that want to join you. I guess don't tell them too much because it could scare them out. But I came here as a teacher way back at the time that coming out of college, it was recommended that you come to every board meeting. And I did come to every board meeting when I started out, just as I felt that was your duty as a teacher. That has since changed, and it got kind of difficult because I'd come to board meetings and the superintendent would call on me at the board meeting, and I just felt uncomfortable there. And you know, obviously part of it was that I was involved in so many things here. And so they would question just to see, you know, get some more insight into something. And it was really an honor that they bestowed upon me to do that. But I just think that it's a position that you need to have the time to serve. And I think you people have, which is it's a very good thing for you to do in the community.
What questions do you have for us?
I'm not sure that I have too many, due to the fact that I will admit that the last since I retired from teaching in 2009. I retired from coaching in 2013. There were times during then that I would come before the board for particular programs that needed to be presented to the board, and then I would present them. So I think up until that period of time, like the last 3-4 years, I haven't become involved in your ongoing work since then. But I follow it in the paper as everybody else does. I'm a taxpayer, as many other people are. I own more than one property, so I'm, paying attention to where the monies are there. I've stopped by and thrown my opinions to Corinne on some coaching positions that came up and some ideas for her, which, she doesn't have to listen to. It's just a thought. So yeah, I've been kind of behind the scenes, been a little involved, and I do care a lot what happens to Houston High School and Houston public schools in general. The reputation needs to carry through to my job, because you have to remember that I'm showing properties to people in the Houston School District. I'm talking to people about moving here, and I really like that to be a positive. So my interest in how you're doing is pretty critical from that perspective. I like the direction it's been going, and I guess I'd like to see that continue. And you've made some big improvements since I left. So that's nice.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Should we move on to Jan?
I wonder if it's here, so. Did 15, if you don't mind going early.
Sure, that's fine.
Well, welcome and thank you for applying. How has your training and/or experience prepared you to serve as a member of the school board?
Well, I've been in education all my life, I guess. So I taught for 37 years at various levels. I've taught junior high, senior high, community colleges, universities, big universities. Winona State, I've taught there for 26 years. I was up to University of Minnesota Duluth. And so I've had that for education. And I got 2 degrees, master's degrees in education, one from Winona State. And some of that was in education administration. And I got another master's degree because I taught computer science, computer information system. That degree I got out of University of Evansville, Indiana. And that was later on in life. I was 50 when I got that degree, so I worked with that. But I also, when I was in Winona teaching and stuff, I was on the PTA, Parent Teacher Association. I was on the state level, attended meetings in Minneapolis monthly through the year and everything else. And looked at that. I worked with the State Department of Education, Dr. Dye in education, wrote some papers and articles. And I keep up on the school board here. I read the minutes in the banner always, or read Ellen's articles, see if they jive and whatnot. So one's comes out earlier than the other one. And when I was in teaching in Adams, Minnesota, or Southland, I was there when the consolidation went through and took place and everything. They're talking about consolidating again. I was just listening to them between Southland and Leroy Ostrander, but that last one was just nixed. So I keep up on that because I know several of the board members when I was there are still there, and some of them are in my Lions Club, so I talk with them that way. You mentioned Southeast Service Association here. I did a little work with them in training there in Rochester in their facilities, along with Hiawatha Valley Education District in Winona. So all of those, I guess, I have within the education area that way. So I figure I'm pretty good. And then when I taught at Winona State, I taught the computer science department. One of the courses was system analysis. And we would take any system and we'd analyze that particular system. And any system, it could be an educational system, it could be a business system, it could be a farming, any of these are systems. And then we break it down, look at the components, see where improvements was, we'd look at the structure of it and the like. So that, I'd say I got quite a bit of education.
What appeals to you about serving on the school board?
Oh, people have been asking me, if I wanted to, and I said, well, I'm thinking about it and everything else. And I do serve on several groups. I belong to the Lions. One of our goal is we serve as our model, and I do serve on different organizations and get involved with them and keep involved with them. So I did go out to the Minnesota School Board Association, looked at that, and it says wanting to become a school board member, and I looked at that, and I says, yeah, I think, yeah, that's the things I like to do, and everything. It runs through the gamut of looking at everything within that, figuring I can help that way, help the community grow, and help the education system improve. I mean, I serve on the Lions as the Peace Poster Chair for the Southeast Minnesota region. We have Peace Poster contests that I run for about 35 schools. The children come in with their posters and receive those, and we judge them. I get 2 instructors out of RTTC, or the jurors on that. I keep contact with Winona State people that way as well. And they all say, yeah, you like education.
What do you know about Houston Public Schools and board oversight of the district?
Well, the board oversight of the district, I mean, you guys do a good job. You've been doing a good job. I don't think you want to micromanage. And that's not the board's decision to micromanage. I've seen some boards that I've been on with the Lions and stuff that some of them were micromanaging in there. And I just, you can't do that. That's not your job as a board person. Your job is more or less to set goals and meet the goals on that. The board basically communicates to the rest of the district through the superintendent, and your job is to hiring of the superintendent, looking for superintendents. I have a lot of contact with different superintendents around. In fact, the one that you just had for fill-in for a while, I just talked to him lately on that. I know the superintendent from Lewiston because he was our district governor on that, Brooks Pleasure and all those. So, and they encouraged me constantly to do that too. They wanted me to run for district governor in Lions too, and I said, no, I know where my limits are. I said, that's not one of my jobs that I want to do, but I would like to be on the school board and give some guidance and things that way and set goals, things for the district so the community can grow in education and foster.
Is there anything else you would like to add that would convince us you should be the candidate we appoint?
Well, you got some good candidates, and I feel I'm one of the good ones in there, and I would like to help the district and be involved with the education and of the facilities and everything that we have. And we've done a lot with the facilities already. I mean, the lights is changing to save energy and things and that, maintaining the buildings and stuff, keeping buildings up. I watch the buildings from time to time, see what happens. I go by the football field and say, oh, roof's coming off. I report that to somebody and that the tire's coming off or something. So it's important to keep those things, and I keep an eye and watch on that. So I would want to be a helpful eye for you guys that way.
What questions do you have for us?
Well, I'd say in terms of your goals for the district, what are your future goals? Immediate and 5 years.
If anyone wants to jump in. I'll speak to so we've been working on our strategic plan, and so we have some high level goals, but a couple of them that would fit in and hit close to home for you is partnerships with some businesses and colleges in the area. We know we can't have all of the highest end equipment, and we're just a small school, and so we'd like to do more partnerships to give the kids experiences with that. And we also have a technology aspect to our long-term goal as well. So introducing technology as we can and trying to stay up on technology. And really our goal is, for the kids to get the best education they can. But those are a couple of the items off the list.
Continuous responsible improvement.
Yeah, your facility goals, I mean, in terms of more addition onto the elementary school or something, there's been talk about that sometime. Things like that, so.
I'm thinking more of our children.
Your children too, yeah.
We have the world's best workforce.
Right.
MDE plan, and it's a process we have to do, but I think it has potential if we take it seriously to help prepare our students to be career and college ready, if we believe that that's an important outcome of our district. So many of our goals are trying to find that path to helping students be successful, whatever their path past grade 12.
In terms of your online school, what's your feeling on that yet?
the same as far as student success, improving, supporting teachers in an interesting relationship with, being a managed school. But I think trying to improve enrollments, retention, proper placement of students. My idea is that's what we want to do, is have our students come here, stay here, be successful, and that requires supporting our principals and our teachers as best we can with the resources we have.
We have a challenge too in the online school that when we get new kids, oftentimes they're behind, and so trying to get them caught up in an online environment. So we're implementing some things this year to try to help, but that's a big struggle for us.
So your goal is maybe in terms of your students that you have, that you keep them up, get everybody on level or 40% on level.
Yeah.
Instead of go like that.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely want we have a certain percentage and we want to get them caught up, right? And then we can go forward from there.
And we wanna maintain our numbers,
Right.
so that's a lot of marketing things too.
Yeah, maintaining student growth is very important. I mean, that's Southland, that's where they're having their big problem, because their enrollment has been going down and down. You lose 10 students or 15, it's a budget there.
Makes a big difference.
Makes a big difference, so we want to keep maintain our growth here. Any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you, Gene.
Okay.
Thanks, Gene. Kevin's here.
We're running a little ahead of schedule.
Oh,
Do you mind going early?
I can, or you got some more students.
No, we got nothing else.
Yeah, we're ready for you.
Didn't have this when I was here.
And you're there because you are on camera as well.
Alright.
Okay, well, welcome and thank you for applying. The first question is, how has your training and or experience prepared you to serve as a member of the school board?
Yeah, so I guess I'll just introduce myself. I'm Kevin Lind. I live here in town. I graduated here in '09, and I pretty much lived here ever since. I've did 3 semesters at Bethel and St. Paul, and then I moved back here to finish up my degree in lacrosse. So I guess the main thing, I would have beneficial over other people is that I'm a teacher. I teach at Mabel Canton right now, so I guess I just know, the ins and outs of a school, how things work, how to work together with people. And I think one of the main things, if I was a board member, I could, come and ask teachers things, and it's not like, I'm somebody that's looking over them or wanting their approval for something or wanting to tell them what to do, but I'm really more of a colleague because I'm a teacher as well, so I can kind of, ease that transition a little bit to communicate with the faculty and the community members.
What appeals to you about serving on the school board?
The biggest thing I would say is just being an advocate for teachers. Teachers always have, politicians and everyone in the community telling them what to do. But, we know what it really takes to teach kids, to motivate them, to get them interested in something. So I guess it's kind of frustrating as a teacher that we're always kind of controlled by outside forces. So if I could be an advocate for other teachers, even though it's not necessarily going to be my direct benefit, that would be something I would be part of. I have these two so I don't forget them. So I just put down some of my goals I've made over the years, and then at the bottom, at the last page is my resume. So. Sure. Notes are good. So I just put those are just like my main professional, personal, business goals. So I mean, some of the stuff doesn't apply. I just want to show that I'm goal-driven and I, have a lot of accomplishments, even though I'm, probably the youngest applicant. So, probably, maybe not.
Yes,
Probably less.
yes.
And you can feel free to call my references on the last page there. So Michelle would be the one that's current, and then James Salmon would be last year. So those would be the two most current ones.
What do you know about Houston Public Schools and board oversight of the district?
Well, I'm not gonna, BS my way through this. I don't know a ton of stuff. I read the minutes all the time, and I know a lot of the community members. I know a lot of the kids that go here still from, church or teaching them in certain districts. Had a few kids I know have moved here, which is kind of nice because I know we are a good district and that we prepare kids to succeed beyond school, whatever they choose. Could you read the question again? Sorry.
Sure. What do you know about Houston Public Schools and board oversight of the district?
So yeah, I mean, I would say the board makes those overall decisions of what the district sets for, the budget, what they set for the building, if anything needs to be improved. They obviously do kind of the menial stuff of sometimes of approving people or just, looking over the kind of the minor budget issues too, year to year, so. But hopefully the goal is to, produce kids that are independent and able to thrive beyond high school.
Is there anything else you would like to add that would convince us you should be the candidate we appoint?
Feel free to look this over just to prove that I'm goal-oriented and I have a lot of accomplishments even from a young age. But I already said it, but the main thing would be that I want to be an advocate for teachers. And you would say that being an advocate for students is most important, but we already know teachers are already advocates for students. So if you're an advocate for a teacher, you're basically an advocate for both. So hopefully I can accept this position if it's offered to me, and not be someone that's telling teachers what to do, but to work with teachers and I guess gain their trust and know that I'm working with them instead of having people outside the community that don't know as much about teaching tell them what to do.
What questions do you have for us?
I guess time frame, maybe, when might be decided on. Be kind of a paper one, but.
Chair Wilson, I can handle that one.
Complicated.
On the October 18th board meeting, the board will then have time to discuss the applicants and select the person that they would like to appoint to the open seat. At that time, we will have, as they're doing the interview right now, they are scoring the results. And so there will be a numerical score assigned to each applicant. However, that numerical score does not have to be used as the deciding factor as far as who gets the appointment. There will also be the discussion, and within the next 13 days, community members could call board members with their insight into what applicant they feel would be the best to be appointed. And so some of that discussion might find its way to the table on the 18th as well. But at the 18th, the person will be named. According to state rules, the community then has 30 days in which to submit a petition signed by at least 5% of those who voted in the district election in the last main election.
It's complicated.
I'll get there. And that ends up at 68. So then after the 18th of October, the community has until November 17th to give a petition signed by at least 68 registered voters within the district that they do not want that appointment. If they like the appointment, then there's no petition. The petition is only in the event that there are people, or against the person that the board appointed. And so since we have to wait for that deadline for the petition, the person named on October 18th, barring no petition, will be appointed at the December 5th meeting.
So I can't have 68 enemies, right?
Yes.
Basically the main thing. If I was at home.
Yeah, you may have 67, you may not have 68.
68.
Yeah.
You can have 68 as long as they're not in the district.
No, it's.
And that would run through the year, and then this board member could reapply during the summer to run for the election in November.
18.
Thank you, yes. Because this position runs through December 31st of 2018.
Alright, and there was one, I saw the minutes in the banner, it said like, you might consider like rezoning it so he could still be on it, was that just an old one that's not true anymore?
Joe Craig has petitioned the Winona School Board to redraw district lines. That's not something that this board can do, that's something that the homeowner has to do, and Joe is actively seeking that. However, it's in Winona's court, so to speak, and if they say no, then it's a moot issue.
But are you wondering if that could happen in the meantime of this?
I guess so, I don't, he would be eligible for 18 election?
He would, if they redraw the district lines, he would be eligible to apply to run in 2018. But the seat is vacant, and once filled, it will be filled until the end of December 2018.
Alright, that's what I assumed.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I wanted to thank everyone for coming out to get stuck under the lights there under the hot seat. No one enjoys that.
Okay, we will return to the agenda and pick up with approval of the third quarter board pay.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Policies for first reading. McLean, any comments?
And were there
Not
many
a lot of
changes?
significant changes. I think one of them did have some in making it stricter. Like instead of the student shall, it's like the district will do this. So I mean, it was kind of that minor language update, which is really important, but most of
That
them
was
stayed the
policy
same.
502, was it not?
I think so.
And policy 502 had some updates after the incident in United South Central. And so that's where definition of weapon.
Yeah, it takes a firm zero tolerance to does not allow.
Right.
So that's kind of the main one.
And that's, this policy was in play in a lawsuit about an expulsion of the student. So that's why the changes were made. Not a student here.
That was like about a year ago. It was like last January, that was still in process. Everybody was watching that case, right? So have the principals been appraised of or asked to review this and comment, especially policy 502 and 505 tend to impact a site. And so I always like to know that the principals are aware of what policies are being reviewed and have them be aware of them and forward any comments to us for consideration.
Okay. That will occur before the 18th.
Okay, announcements, important events.
On October 10th, my mentor through the National Certification Program is flying in from California to see Houston and to meet with people. So if there's any board member that wants to be scheduled to come in, maybe we could even do lunch with Larry Roney from San Diego. So if you would.
I said,
What
I
did-
think I know his brother Mac. That's just a.
Macaroni?
Tuesday.
You're gonna have lunch in town?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Next
Yeah.
Tuesday.
yes. Yes. So if you would like that, I will, make sure that that's.
How long is he gonna be here? Or do you
He
know?
said he's going to be here the whole day. He's, he's got 5 superintendents that he is mentoring. And so he also has Ben Barton in Caledonia, so I think he's going to spend Monday in Caledonia, Tuesday in Houston, and then he's got, 1 in Oklahoma, and then 2 in, Mississippi. So he's gonna fly out from, so I've gotta find out when his flight is on Tuesday to, cause he flies, I think, to Oklahoma. I just wanted to give you that heads up.
Okay, meeting and committee updates.
We will have a facilities meeting prior to the next board meeting where we will be getting a presentation, but the kids asked about signage. The person from Wild Exhibit came and said with the way this building is configured, he would, instead of having signs all the same at all the buildings, just because the way the buildings are configured, they don't lend themselves well to just one sign out in front. He said at the elementary building, it would probably be better if there was a sign up on the top of the door where you're walking into door 1. So that little vestibule that comes out, putting the sign right on top there so that people know that that's door 1, and putting the sign there, and on the preschool building, putting the sign right below that first window as you're walking up, so you're putting the sign right on the building instead of having something on legs. And then he also said here he would suggest putting, one of these directional signs at the front of the teardrop, and he said actually what you might want to do is have and build a little roof over it so it matches what that the gazebo looks like now with that red metal roof. But he said with a directional sign, if you look at that directional sign where it says main entrance, he said you almost have to say main entrance a block down, because it was just a main entrance and an arrow. You don't know if the main entrance is that first door that's marked door 2, or the main entrance, and he said there's really nothing that shows us the district entrance is really the district entrance, because you can't see anything from there. So he said instead of putting another sign out in front, building out a red awning off the front of the main entrance, and then putting Houston Schools in white on that main entrance, so that it really kind of pops and you can see it. So he said he knows that the board has asked for consistent signage in all the buildings, but he said your buildings are all so unique. He said with that gorgeous Art Deco building, you don't want to put a sign that, like you would put on the kind of a typical 1960s building that we have here. And he said that the preschool building is just, he said, a gorgeous old building. You don't, so that's, so I want to know how tied you are to signs being consistent in all the buildings.
Well, consistency would, I mean, that's a big word. I mean, you know, it could be consistency in coloring, if that makes sense to tie them together, or font, or, and maybe font doesn't go with different styles of building, but in some other way to tie them together, but make each building unique. I do think we should have something to say, this is a part of this district, that is a unifying theme somehow. I don't know, that's just my opinion. Doesn't have to be all the same. I agree. I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying, so.
Because if he's gonna he gave this to me, it's all the different signs he's been doing, is that the kids have said, no, this, and so he just said, you know.
Is this what the one the kids chose?
Well, this is the one that was selected after meeting with the board, yeah,
The committee.
the committee.
Oh.
Can he do a mock-up of
Of each one, right,
of what
but,
he's thinking, and we could say.
right, but that's
nice
it,
to see that.
before he does another mock-up, it's, you know, is this something that you would, instead of having, because here, all the signs are the same, except he did some horizontal, some vertical, and then it was, oh no, they need to all be consistent. And so he said how, before he draws up something else, he doesn't want to spend the time drawing it up and just have somebody once again saying, oh no, now we're gonna go this direction.
So how do you direct somebody to the main door if they come down to that front?
Right now,
No, with your signage.
there would be the directional sign that says main entrance, and then as soon as they look, they would see that big awning coming out.
And that would be in the front of the teardrop, is that what you're saying? Or-
The directional sign would be in the front of the teardrop, yes.
And the awning would be.
The awning would be over the district door. And he also said that if you're just looking at this page, with this matte, if you do a matte black, which is kind of what this is, matte black with the silver letters outlined in red. He said you could see that from a distance, where he said with this, it's harder to read. So he said, I know you've gone with you want the earth tones, but if you really want it
To pop?
putting the matte black background that actually matches, and I know we've got it looks brownish, but the brown he has looks very brown compared to it almost, ours, the matte black actually matches our exterior windows better.
And that's going over the gymnasium entrance, though, right?
This would be over the gymnasium entrance, yes.
I think his
But he said
perspective
that one,
Yeah, I think
is
it's
what we've been looking for.
Well, yeah.
what?
I think his perspective is what we've been looking for.
And he will be coming to the board meeting, but he wanted to have a little more, how tied are you to this?
Well, have we met, has the committee met with him directly? This has all been through the students have done. So it's been the students going and saying, we want this, and then presenting it to the board, and the board, and we never have had
We've
a
never had,
perspective
yeah,
of a graphic
right,
designer.
right. And so it's because it's been the kids' project, which is important.
It is
It's
important.
and so the kids have been the go-between, and right now, I think the designer's a little frustrated, the kids are very frustrated, so I would like to remove the frustration. And it's still the kids' project. I still want the kids there, I still want them to be part of it, but I think it's important. He will be coming to the facilities meeting and the board meetings.
Sounds good.
But how, can I let him?
I'd like to see what it looks like on the buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't send him back to make a change if I don't like it,
But
but
we would say we'd wanna stay with a consistent logo though, is that what
well,
he's
I don't
wondering?
know, something unifying. A graphic
Yes.
designer would know. I mean, would say,
You
this
know,
is the,
I can appreciate that if they all have the same type, style, font and the same logo. If you wanted to do a, say a period or match the period of the building with the shape of the sign, like if you wanted to put something that matched the preschool more. But I think what Michaeline said about it being uniform is important, so you're looking at another part of the.
Another part of the same district.
what do you
Yes.
think?
Oh, I think he's the expert, we should listen to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
But
mean,
he's
he's what he
wondering,
does for
he's
a
wondering
job.
if we are
He does a
willing to
great
do,
job.
he's wondering if we're willing to do like 3 different signs for 3 different buildings.
Well, I think it's much less confusing, I think, if it's on the building itself. I like that idea. Instead of having this arrow, it's like, well, am I there or am I not there? And having it be very clear. My only concern is what the signs say, because I think that sometimes many people grew up here and it's obvious that the gym is at the teardrop. I didn't even know what the teardrop was, where the gym was. And I just want it to be clear for people that don't live here where things are, so they're not driving around looking, because that happens a lot. I know kids try to get to the elementary school for volleyball games and they're from out of town and they don't know where they're going. So that's my only thing, is I'm concerned. But yeah, whatever they think is, as long as it's not, we have a budget. I mean, it can't be flashing lights and.
Can we say that we're not tied to signs with posts?
Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
you may say whatever you'd like, and as soon as you say it,
Are we
I
in
will tell
agreement on
him.
that?
I mean, I just think we were not experts and we were doing
Right.
the best we can without any expertise. I would like to see what he would do, to Mimi's point, which I think is very valid, what are the directional signs? And where are directional signs from building to building that,
And there would just be that, with this, there would just be that one directional sign.
what about from the elementary to the high school or from the high school getting to the elementary?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to even put that direction on there. You can't put an arrow, because there's not,
Pose the question.
I did, and he
Oh.
was, I don't know how you would arrow that, because he said at the elementary school, if you said high school or district office, there's no way to
In other words, there are limitations to what a sign can say with arrows.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, there are limitations to what a sign could, he said, I don't know how you would do that direction from the elementary.
Those little feet on the sidewalk.
That would work. Have a little green arrow go in front of the people on the light poles.
I like Ryan's.
Have a different line on the street for
Yes.
each building.
Yes.
Follow
do
the
that.
green line.
We could use
Boston,
school
yes.
colors.
It's
The green
a
line
different
or the red
subway,
line.
yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Take the red line to the high school.
Good idea.
Freedom Trail. He'll just draw a red line right
It's
in
just a
between.
tough situation, like you said, when all the buildings are different style.
It is.
And, they're not exactly, they don't have any connection to each other. It's not like you can sit here and say, see the other ones off in the distance. So, yeah, it's a problem.
But even just that main entrance and gymnasium
Would help.
would be a
Yeah.
big help.
Well, yeah, just the main entrance would be a
Yeah.
great help.
Mhm.
agree.
Okay, I will call him tomorrow. Thank you.
The other thing I always felt like we needed was a little better signage on the elementary gym.
Say gym, yeah, where the
Yeah,
gym doors are.
Yeah,
double
which door do you
doors.
go in to, when there's an event at the elementary gym? It's-
I don't know. I sometimes go in the wrong one.
If it, I mean,
I don't know if
has
you
the
always.
budget been, budget been posted on, or what, has he given any?
Well, it depends on what the signs actually end up being, so that's,
Or you could do a home of the hurricanes on both buildings then?
I don't know, you're put it on the elementary.
Well, I do
gym.
think the guy seems to know his business, so I'd like to rely on.
Here, we pose the question, the conundrum we're having and see what he comes up with.
You know, the other thing too is they did the signs over by the nature center. They're nice. They have the little map. You could have a basic little, you know,
Just you are here.
yeah,
You
little
are
map
here.
in the corner that's got the 3 buildings and you are here. I mean, you could have that. And
You could.
if they can't read the map, then they're in trouble.
Isn't it?
It is very nice down there.
That's not a bad idea to have a map.
Mhm.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah, too. You know,
Give that
it might
to
cost
them.
more, but we, I mean, you know, we,
I have a little slot with some brochures in.
I
So
had,
that's why I'm not in that business.
this is, I had mentioned at last meeting that HFED's doing their all-member district meeting. And, so it's been firmed up, don't mind my scribbling on here, but it is Monday, October 23rd in, Rushford Peterson. So it's, they're excited to show us what they're working on, and so you know, they're welcome. It's kind of an overview, and then it ends with a tour of the new school. That was the highlight, and that's why it was chosen to be their all district location, so that no pressure to go, but they definitely wanted all to be invited. I think teachers, staff. I mean, they want to inform everyone about HFED, and yeah. So I'm just a messenger, but it was firmed up as Monday, October 23rd.
I'm not able to
Is there a
go
time?
to work. I work late.
6:30.
But thank you.
Yeah, and there,
Is it still 6:30 then?
yeah. 6 o'clock, a welcome and presentation, and then the tour is at 7:15. So yeah, 6 o'clock. And then I'll have my regular HFED at 8:15. So being held at the school, they're just combining it for.
Are your HVED meetings in the evening like that?
Yeah, 7 o'clock. It went on and I don't advertise it, but I'm probably geographically the closest member to that building. I mean, they'd all be very envious of how close I am to that. The rest of the, it's the whole district, or the whole southeast Minnesota driving. Some are coming quite a ways. Barring hitting a deer, I'm there in about 15 minutes. Anyways, that's all.
Anything else?
There is if any of you want to be nominated for the Southeast Service Cooperative Board of Directors, they're looking for, there will be 3 positions that are open, and I will need to submit the nomination by Friday, November 10th. So if this is something that you would really like to do, let me know, and I will nominate you to the Southeast Service Co-op Board.
Okay, board superintendent feedback and thank yous. Anything there? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. So now we just have to find our corner and
Find your corner,
Fill out your forms.
fill out your